Council. And today we have Mikey Murphy, Elle Mills, Hart, Daniel Howell, and Gabbie Hanna. Okay. So I don't know how many of you have heard of the Ad Council, but quickly, we are a nonprofit. We really focus on producing national social good campaigns for different causes. And mental health awareness and suicide prevention is a huge campaign for us. I just want to tell you a little bit about that, and then I know you really want to hear from these guys, so super quick. If you have any questions, please tweet us at #mentalhealthvidcon19 and we will get to those questions. But super quickly, sadly, suicide is like the second leading cause of death among young adults in the United States, and so that's why we're tackling this issue. I think really it's around not having conversations about mental health and a stigma. So that's what our campaign is really focusing on, is starting conversations, recognizing when your friends are struggling, and then how do you reach out to your friends and really start those conversations. So that's what Seize the Awkward is all about. Just want to show you a quick video, and I'm sure you'll recognize some of the faces in this video.
Oh, love him.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you feel.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
But really we should all be leaning into those moments and starting conversations with our friends. So this year for Mental Health Awareness Month, we're really focusing on trying to communicate how to reach out to your friends, how to have the conversations. So we partnered with a few musicians, including Billie Eilish, to tell her story. So a little bit about that, and then we want to hear from these guys.
Is that you have to listen. You know, starting that conversation, you don't you say, how are you feeling? Like, are you okay? That's what you say, are you okay? Ask somebody. That's what they, you know, and yeah, I'm good. Really? Are you actually good? It's been like that for me. There have been certain people that have texted me right when I needed to be texted, you know, saying they loved me and that they were thinking about me. And sometimes you don't even have to say anything to someone. Sometimes it's about a hug. Obviously, I'm not a trained professional in anything. I don't know what I'm doing, but I have seen it, and I've been it, and it really means a lot.
You've been super candid about your mental health journey since the beginning, on both your channels and in your books, and just on all of your content. What really inspired you to share both like your family journey and your personal mental health story?
Yes, very good question, Hannah. Hello, for those of you who are familiar with me, my name is Hart. I kind of fell into YouTube. Thank you, yes, it's fun. I made as a joke for a friend called My Drug Kitchen, and so you might find it kind of ironic that I'm also a huge mental health advocate. I suppose that the shortest answer is that I really had no choice because I couldn't see myself doing a career in entertainment without processing what was happening to me. And for me, I'm a verbal processor, and by sharing my story and sharing my journey, it allowed me to process it better. If for those of you who are really interested in this stuff, my book Buffering, I'm sure it tells you before fully loaded, is all about mental health in America, about homelessness, about my family's experience with homelessness, psychosis, etc. So if you for a good time, call Buffering by Hart. So what inspired me was really just, I couldn't not talk about my reality with the platform that I had. I know what it looks like trying to struggling with mental health. I know what it looks like trying to maintain your mental health. I know how expensive the medication journey can be. And so this is why it was something that I had to say. I don't know a better answer than I had no choice.
I like that. If you want to also, when I ask you a question, you want to talk about why mental health is important to you. But Gabbie, why is mental health important to you? And also, I want you to talk about how you really use your music and your art to express yourself through your lyrics and your poetry, and talk about your struggles with mental health. So talk a little bit about that and your art journey and why you use that to express yourself.
Sure. So mental health is important to me because it's something that I struggled with a lot growing up and didn't understand what it was. It was something that I thought was a very embarrassing thing to say that I was depressed or anxious. I didn't grow up in a household where we could really talk about our feelings or express things to each other. So there was just a lot of inner turmoil all the time for years, from 13 until 25. I didn't understand that you could just talk about it. So then when I started doing YouTube, that kind of lifted a little bit, and Vine and stuff, just because I was distracted and it was fun, but distractions only last for so long. So once that kind of started to settle in and I had to look at myself again, I was now dealing with the same demons I'd already had, but now I had all of these eyes looking at me, and I had this channel where I was talking about my life and my feelings, and then I'm also getting these messages from people like you saying that you're experiencing these things too. And that was kind of the first time that I realized, oh, this is so common. Why was this so embarrassing for me growing up? And what if somebody could have said something to me growing up about that? So I just wanted to talk about it so that, I don't know, the way I was connecting to and as far as the music goes too, I was always listening to My Chemical Romance, and Panic at the Disco. And I would just, I was such an angsty teen, I would lock myself in my room, and I'd be like, my parents don't understand me, but Gerard does. It meant the world to me. So, through my Vine journey, through my YouTube journey, it just kind of got to a point where it's I was coming on camera and trying to shut off everything that I was feeling. So I'd be literally in between takes, having a panic attack, and then being and then this happened, and it just wasn't authentic at all. So that was spilling into the rest of my life, where I was just this anxious ball of energy who was coming out towards with rage, misplaced anger towards other people, and I just had to really face myself because everybody was looking at me. So for you guys, you probably don't have that experience, but I just hope that, this is very long-winded, I'm not even sure if I'm answering your question.
No, it's all great.
But I just hope that you guys understand, because you're at that age that I was at, I think, demographic of Vidcon. And it's so normal to feel this way. All of us have felt this way. Way more people than that have felt this way. And try to find some type of creative outlet. You guys know that's my whole thing. Naked tragedies, whatever. Do that. And if you're not an artist, that's okay. That's how I do it. I like to write. If you don't know what your outlet is, ask somebody close to you. What is it that I'm the best at? What's your favorite thing about me? And if they say, you're really kind, then take all of that energy and throw it into volunteering. If they say, you're really smart, take all of that energy and try to help others with their schoolwork, and just do something positive for other people. It doesn't have to be I'm gonna make a song. It can be just something that you're good at, that you're taking all the negativity and making it something positive. And you didn't ask me that.
That was good, Charlie. That was great.
Energy.
I deserve to make my own.
No, that was great. I think what you talked about the eyeballs and the pressure, obviously, of people watching your content and having to keep it very positive and not share those bad parts of your day. But Elle, if you had a situation where you very publicly are going through something, a mental health situation or a journey, like you did last year, and you talked about it with your channel, talk a little bit about how that was like and making that amazing video that you came back with, but then also the taking a break. Like what's it like to take a break?
Yeah, for sure. For those who aren't familiar, my channel really started to blow up at end of 2017 and beginning of 2018. And I was a huge YouTube fan growing up. I watched everyone on this couch. And I was a huge fan. So when all these creators started reaching out to me and people started watching, it was like my dreams were coming true. And I was so scared I was going to lose it. So I dedicated my whole life to it and said yes to everything. And so I was pumping out videos, and I don't delegate, which is that's another problem. But and so I take control, and then I am nervous, but I went on tour. I was like never home, and unlike Gabbie, I don't know. Growing up, I never really had any mental health problems, and so last year during tour, I experienced my first panic attack, and it was very scary. I was alone, and it just all started adding up. And by April last year, I was having a panic attack every other day, and then so I kind of just broke after I think a convention last year, and I had a very public mental breakdown, and that's when everyone, my friends and family, kind of just they decided to stop, and they're the ones who told me I need to take a break, and so we canceled everything, and it was that was hard for me because I felt like no one was gonna watch. I felt like everything I worked for was gonna be taken away from me. And so I feel like that's why there's a lot of YouTubers who are burnt out and stuff, because they have that mentality that if they don't, people are not going to care. And so, what was the question? Where was
I was talking about the experience.
Oh yeah, and I made the video explaining my whole thing, because part of me was I made it very public, the breakdown was pretty public, and I feel like people were assuming things, and I wanted to just tell my story, and also I just I couldn't make another video without addressing it, because I just couldn't fake a smile. I was not happy, and so I wanted to get that across, because it would have felt really ingenuine to have done anything else. And yeah, it was hard at first, because I'm someone who doesn't really like talking about that stuff in person. I'm better at it now, but growing up I didn't. I just didn't like emotions and stuff, and so it was a whole 180, being on stage here talking about it. And so it's been this whole past year has just been an adjusting period, and I've been I've been gone to therapy and stuff, and it's been really great. I think I've definitely grown a lot from it, and it's been really cool to put my mental health first, and I'm so much better now.
Hell yeah!
Woo!
I just want to speak to just really quick, A, thank you Elle for doing that. B, just hearing that when you got a video that got some success, and all the pressure that you felt to make sure that you put your whole life into it. There is a good side of that, which is that when faced with something, you go through the fear. And that, I think that if I had that kind of attention, and that if YouTube had been a space where people did things, luckily for me, it really wasn't that much at the time, I think I would have run away. So it definitely broke you down, but it's also a huge strength. And I just wanted to clear that up.
Thank you.
Woo! Daniel, you went through something similar. I mean, you've been on YouTube for 10 years.
We're all dying. I'm 500, yeah.
But that's a lot of pressure to constantly, put out content. And I think earlier this year or a few months ago, you sort of took a break as well, because you were dealing with your mental health. So how did your audience, who had been loyal for so long, react to you taking a break?
Well, they're like, are you dead? What up? And it's the weird thing where mental health, the reason why it's so important, it's the whole concept that it's that invisible illness, and the whole thing, especially with being a YouTuber and being public, or even just anything you could relate to your families and your friends, is you might not know at all that someone is going through something like this, which is why you have to ask and why you have to talk about these things. And it's got so much better in the last few years. It's one of these things where every year that goes on, it's just getting so much better and so much better. But even when I made my video about the depression that I've been through in 2018, it was like a really terrifying experience. But for me, it was that assumption that everyone was looking at me, and I don't know what you thought about me or my life or whatever, but no one would have thought that I was having such a hard time until I spoke about it. And then when I did, that changed everything. So it's just that thing where everyone here, you have to communicate your feelings. I mean, I don't like communicating my feelings. I think we all know it can be difficult and awkward, and that's the entire idea. But it's so important to share these things, especially with my break, as it were. I think it comes back to what you were saying, which is when you're constantly being a YouTuber and you're expected to keep doing something, it's quite hard. And what I felt was that every time I uploaded a video, it's like I was putting a piece of me out there. And every time I kept doing it, especially with the gaming channel that me and Phil had, that was very frequent, it's like I couldn't grow or change behind the scenes, because every time I put something out there, it's like I was still froze in that version of myself that I was putting out. So it got to a point where I just said, there's certain things that I have to deal with in my life, because like this is getting ridiculous now. So I made the very scary decision to say, I'll upload this one video called Trying to Live My Truth. Literally, it's about being authentic and how sometimes you need to go through the really hard stuff to make a big difference in your life. And I said, I'm not going to come back until I'm ready to actually do this stuff, because I can keep doing the same thing that I've been doing so long, like pushing it forward, kind of procrastinating my personal life by doing work, which is like a weird sounding thing, but it's very real. But it was big, and then again, it's one of those things where I come back after a year of not uploading, plot twist, I was a massive queer the whole time. It's another example of, it's like you don't know what's happening in someone's life unless you communicate these things, and you can't keep it on the inside, and it's difficult. It's so hard to start this conversation, to tell people, especially when there's so much shame and stigma, relationships with your family, the environments that you grew up in. It makes all these things so difficult to talk about, but that's why it's so important to do it.
I wrote in the conversation with you that your depression video, when you put it out, helped me so much. Because that was before I was really talking about it that much. So seeing yours and being, such a big YouTuber and such a platform, that was a great example of like, oh, that's what it can do, to see somebody talk about it.
Thank you.
That was meant a lot to me. And also your coming out video was fucking beautiful. I already tweeted you about it. Please go watch it. It is so beautifully done and well thought out, and please just go watch it. Okay.
I mean, it took like a whole year to make, so anyway.
I thought Trying to Live My Truth, when you uploaded that, I thought that was going to be your coming out video.
That was the whole point, you know what I mean? It was me saying like, I'm not ready to deal with certain things yet, but this is an issue in my life. Sexuality was just one of those things. We're talking about mental health, personal relationships, sexuality, there's so many things. And especially as someone who's putting himself out there personally on the internet, it's that whole thing where if you're not living your life as the person who you know you are on the inside, you will never feel right, so you have to. So as hard as it was, as insane as the decision seemed to everyone in my life, I was like, no, I have to do this. And no matter how long it took a long time. It was the right decision.
Mikey, you made a video talking about sort of the anxiety and pressures of being very successful as a young person and needing to continue that, and like we're talking about, consistently put out content. How do you balance that, and have you found any sort of like tips on how to avoid that burnout? I kind of want to hear that from everybody too, like tips on how to avoid burnout and
The big word. I think I had like a little version of everyone else's little breakdown that I just kind of went through. This is the thing. I started making YouTube videos very young. I started at 11 years old, and I was just making videos, watching Dan and Hannah, and as we I was just watching videos and I really wanted to do it too, and so I started making videos myself and really kick-started my own channel when I was 13, and by the time I was 17 years old, I had 1 million subscribers, and I was like, what is going on? And it's kind of like a version of what Elle kind of went through, where I had so much happening to me, and you know, I was achieving my dreams, but I don't think it was as much as I felt like I was going to lose it. I think it was more that I achieved my dreams and I still wasn't like totally happy, because that really wasn't like what was going to make me happy. It's interesting, the journey of everything is always like way more exciting than actually getting there, and that's like a really true statement that I've learned throughout my life so far, especially being in entertainment. But when it comes down to like the burnout side of things, I ended up making the video that I did because I'm just like out of ideas, man. I am out of ideas, and I've done YouTube for a very long time, and I love YouTube, and it's given me everything that I have, but you know, as I've started to work in like the more traditional space and like work on like, you know, making television shows and writing movies and stuff like that, I have like unlimited ideas because it's such a freeing space where like taking your time is respected. And I get into this space and I've grown with this mindset of like, you have to make something every single week. And I get into like this traditional space and they're like, yeah, we're gonna like work on like episodes 1 to 3 for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll take a small break and then we'll come back on like episodes 4 to 7, and it's like, we could just write all 10 this week. What about that? Why don't we just do that? Because it's like, I was built on this like craziness, you know, make something all the time, always have an idea. The second I'm uploading on one thing, we're already thinking about next week, and like, that's unhealthy. That's never been done in entertainment before, and that's what we're all doing here. And there's just certain aspects of YouTube that I think drove me to that video, to make that video, to just be like, I don't want to edit something this week, and I have no ideas this week, and this is something I really need to like talk about. Like you guys all said, talking about it really helps. So I think that was a big part of it. Was really just like, let me speak for a second, instead of, you know, putting out something that isn't authentic anymore, feeling trapped in that same version of myself every single week without growing at all. So I guess it just took that 1 week to grow a little.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting? Like, and maybe, I think that if anyone had thought that it would have this kind of cultural impact, no one would have said, like, here's the standard. It's once a week. For the rest of your life. Honestly, guys, like that's not sustainable. My hope for like the future generations of digital or independent content creators, if we could just call it independent, is that you have so many platforms and so many different ways to experience and interact and engage. The YouTube standard that was set during the generation that we came up in, I feel like that was the only option at the time.
There was also different content. It was a lot easier to edit because, you know, we didn't really know what we were doing. Well, I wasn't really there, but like, it used to be like...
The quality was lower, yes.
It was just jump cut.
Yeah.
And now it's like, graphics, and we have to do something insane. Like, are we jumping off a helicopter today? And we just do that.
It's like, even like 5-6 years ago when I was making videos more frequently, what I did was scripted comedy, right? And it would take me 2-3 days to write a video. You can't even like say that you'll definitely come up with an idea once a week is the problem as well. And so there was like a brief period where I think about 4 months I tried to upload a video once a week, and I literally had a complete mental breakdown. So I was like, this is impossible. But that's what the YouTube culture was making me feel, because it's like I had always, since the very beginning, been that guy that is just the one that doesn't upload ever. So I thought, I'm going to try being a good YouTuber once. No. But it's that you get so many weird feelings of like, you feel guilty that you're not just doing as much as other people, you feel shame from people. Some people totally innocently might just be like, I really like you, can I have some new content? And then you go, you know, internal screaming on the inside. So it's definitely, it was a very specific culture that kind of made all of the YouTube creators feel this pressure to do something so frequently. I think that's changing now though, in a good way.
Mikey, I just love what you said about being stuck in the same version of yourself. Because that was my biggest thing, was before I found out I was the monster that had been here all along, I had tried to keep up with, you know, I started YouTube when I was I think 23. So at 23, I was like, welcome back, I'm erratic and angry all the time. And then I had to stick up with that, and it just wasn't me anymore. And what was the weirdest, listen, if you listen to nothing else for the rest of your life, listen to this, because I'm God. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, the one thing that I've noticed and that I finally learned, when I'm going through something horrible, I tell myself, even in those moments now, because I've trained my brain to do this, because it's happened so many times, is what beautiful thing is gonna come out of this moment? So when I'm always at my lowest, it's always when everything takes a big turn and everything turns around. So in this case, it was after like the monster meme and people were tearing apart my music, and then I was in a scandal, and now I'm like, all of these things were happening, and I was in an all-time low, and I was laying in bed on Tuesday night. I had never missed a Wednesday upload since I started my channel. And I get really bad anxiety about missing uploads and deadlines and times. So I was laying in bed and I'm like sobbing in bed on a Tuesday night, like I don't know what to do. So then I walked out into my living room and it was a complete mess because I was in a very deep depression and hadn't cleaned. And I looked at my carpets and they were disgusting. And I texted my best friend and I said, cleaning my carpets for the first time in 3 years. And she said, that's actually so funny. So me fucking around being like, fuck YouTube, I don't care. I'm literally going to clean my carpet for a video, revived my channel. And now,
that's the universe intervening.
Exactly.
Like, have a breakdown. What's that phrase? It's like a breakdown is actually a breakthrough. You know what I mean? It's that thing where it's like you had to hit your lowest, so you were forced to actually change. So whenever you, like, if anyone in this room ever feels like, I'm about to lose it and it's going to be drama, maybe that's a good thing, you know, because sometimes the pressure backs us all into a corner where we feel like, oh, there's going to be some confrontation, or I'm going to miss that deadline, or I'm going to fail at doing this thing, and sometimes that's just, you know, like your body's way of saying you have to confront this at some point and then you'll grow from it.
A little, like, oh, go ahead.
No, it's like when people say, like, life is a roller coaster, you have your ups, you have your downs, and every down you're going to come up at some point. Like, you're going to find something to be like, oh, like, this is actually exciting. There are good things in my life right now that I can, you know, focus on. So I think, like, I mean, this is what I always tell my friends that I talk to, or tell myself when I need to, is like, when you do hit those really, really bad lows, because it does happen, you're going to hit those lows, you just kind of got to get through them. Kind of take notes for a minute and be like, okay, what am I feeling right now? Like, what are some ways I can try to get through this better? Then when you go back to that high again and you feel better, be like, okay, this is what I did last time. This kind of helped me get through that. Now I can carry this into this next low because I know what's going to happen. And it just is a cycle. And it's important to, like, you know.
But imagine if any of us had given up. That's what, guys, I'm preaching right now, but like, imagine if any of us had, like, in our lowest lows been like, I almost quit YouTube so many times, but it's the people that are sitting on this panel right here are the people who are like, this is awful, but I can't let them win. If you let them win, then they win and you're gone, and everybody loses, really. But if you just stick with it and like go, like last year was the worst year of my life, and this year is the best year of my life. Imagine if I would have given up. That's
And I promise, Selena, we'll get back to your really, I'm sure, very thoughtful questions. I just want to say, just speak to like a little counterpoint, a little bit of the opposite side of the experience is that, so I've always been responsible for my family. Like, I had to take care of my family. My mom's disabled, like, that's my reality. And in that, man, I would love to have a nervous breakdown. No, I don't, obviously. I really would, but no, I don't, obviously. But, I think that, like, for those of you who, you know, there's so much, when you have responsibility, like financial responsibility, that like other people's lives will literally, not like Twitter stuff or like, where's content, but like literally, like you won't be able to make their rent. You have to give yourself the support you need by taking the spaces and the intervals that you needed it. Like, I also wasn't a regular uploader, and I think that that really saved me at a lot of different times. I see people that are like, I haven't posted a video in 6 weeks, and I'm like, oh shit, neither have I. But again, my channel. But just for those of you that like, you know, you can, if you feel something coming, if you can see it in the distance, like, you can take time now and like pause and slow down a little bit. You know, nothing bad's gonna happen. You don't have to wait until it becomes unignorable, I guess. You know?
And I like what you're saying about like the pressure for you to perform in that environment as well, because that's one of those situations where it might look like somebody's thriving because they're working really hard to keep something afloat, but then sometimes that's when people need support the most. Because I'm somebody, like, my family has no money, so it's like if I destroyed my own career, I'd have nothing. So it's that constant terror of, if I do any mistakes with my career, then I'm going to go to absolutely zero, and it's kind of like that existential terror of, you know, feeling like, it's just me by myself. And it's that situation where you feel like you have to be so professional, you have to be so perfect, you have to do all the work, you have to, just keep everything going.
And you
stop for a
have
second.
you have to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
So, that's that thing where you might see a friend and you go, oh, look at them, they're getting straight A's, they're doing this, that, and the other, but don't presume ever that people are totally fine.
Yeah, definitely. You talked a little bit about covering and sort of hiding parts of yourself and how that really affects your mental health. I think LGBTQ people are at much higher risks for mental health issues, especially trans folks. But several of you identify as LGBTQ and have come out and talked to your audience about that. How did that sort of affect your mental health journey? And then I think a lot of your audience and fans probably want to know, do you have any tips for them if they're struggling with their sexuality tied into them? Hannah, you look so scared right now.
You're the expert on this, aren't you?
But I feel like you've shared so much on your channels too, so.
I was actually thinking about Elle at that exact moment. Yeah, I was thinking about your coming out video and the way you did it. And I was thinking to myself, honestly, when I started watching your stuff, I was like, shit, this is like an artist, man. Like, this is somebody who's an artist. Like, this is great work. I hope she never feels like she has to play in the YouTube game. And so then when you had to put up a breakdown, which I'm sure yes, it was. I was like, yeah, of course that just happened to this kid. Of course that just happened. Because what you do and the way you make your art is different from the way anyone makes their art is different. It's like you spend a long time working on an album or music, and you choose the creation and the distribution. And so, anyway, speaking back to coming out, I just loved it. I loved your coming out video. I loved the way you did it. I loved that it was artful and it was beautiful to me. And you too, Dan.
It's so funny how one of my favorite things about YouTube and people coming out is watching the different ways that people do it as well, because I think it's a really beautiful way to see the different kind of creators that people are. Yours was so extra in such an on-brand way.
What made you choose
when I saw it, I was like, when I do it, I'm going to be stood in front of a black wall talking. But it's just that's the different way that people do it. But I think that it resonates with the people that watch it as well. So I think that's really helpful.
What was the question?
How did you talk about being an LGBTQ person and struggling with your mental health? Any advice you have for your audience? But I think we all want to hear about your coming out video. It sounds like
No, by the way, thank you. That means a lot. I was when I first discovered, I had attraction to girls too. I was in the middle of the YouTube thing, and so I remember that's the first time I experienced depression. I cried every night. I was so scared. I just remember crying every night, being I just made my life so much harder, and being really sad about that. And I just knew that I knew everyone would be okay with it. I don't know how to explain it. I come from I live in my hometown still, and so it's not that they're homophobic. I don't know. It's just
now everybody knows.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. The way they talk about it is oh, that person's bi. It's the gossip.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not common there. It's still. And so that's was my thing, and I was very scared. And I actually came out to my family and friends through video. And some of them were obviously wanted to know before everyone else, but I was too scared. And so I
Wait,
decided.
did your family find out with everyone else?
Yeah, and if they're in the video, then they found out during filming. But besides that, yeah. And so it was. I needed to do it. For me, my videos are very therapeutic, and they're my way of communicating my feelings.
Monetize your pain. But really.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, and I think it's also just a product of the social media environment in general, so everyone is forced to kind of label themselves. And there's strength in labels, and there's also entrapment, because we say LGBTQIA+, and I just hope that we get to a point where we can just say queer, because it doesn't matter to me if you're bi or pan or gay. You're queer, great. Good to know. You know what I mean? 10 people that I can introduce you to then instead of just one. But that's the vibe, right? Is that being a part of the queer community is empowering, but can also be entrapping if you feel like you have to segregate yourself from each other.
And that was one of my biggest issues. When, for me, like, when I'm talking about what was the one issue holding you back from making this video, I'm like, do you want a list? But that was such a huge one, because maybe I could have made a video in 2014, 15, and it would have just been half of what I made this time. But then when, you know, society started like talking about gender identity a bit, suddenly I had this moment where I was like, well, what the hell do I even feel anymore? I don't know how these things work. And especially when you like go on Twitter and Tumblr and see people just arguing so specifically about all these labels, it just made it so much more stressful. Where I was like, oh, I just want to come out of something so it's not this weird secret anymore. But then it felt all this stress. So if anyone else is feeling like that, I don't think you have to feel that stress. I think, as you say, like, you can just come out as a Q, you can say something, you can change your mind, it doesn't matter. Formless blob.
What if people are just like, I think I like everybody?
Yeah. I like houseplants, yeah. One of the interesting things that you mentioned briefly was like the fine line between saying the right thing to be helpful to people and talking about it, because you have to be careful, you know, especially when you talk about depression or anxiety. You don't want to stress people out when you talk about experiences with sexuality. I felt like I had to be really careful not making the story too sad or stressful, because you still want to give people hope. Because if you're asking about, you know, your relationship with your audience and talking about this, my big thing was, I don't want to whitewash what happened to me, because I had a bad time, you know what I mean? And I felt like I had so much to explain, but I really just had to tell like the whole gritty, real story of my life. But I was worried, like, I don't want to scare anyone off, because, you know, like, the moment you come out, your life instantly becomes a million times better. But at the same time, I didn't want to lie and say that it's all going to be fine, because if anyone out there goes through something similar, I don't want them to feel, oh, well, things didn't go perfectly for me. It's like, no, everyone's life is a mess. Literally everybody's life is a mess. It's not just you, it's fine. Was that a good message? We're all equally a mess?
Someone had to say it.
Is this relatable?
I don't know about equally.
I'm sure we have some aspiring creators in the audience. So what advice would you give to creators in the audience or out there when starting a channel and wanting to grow their audience and make content? How would you balance your mental health starting out to do that, especially in the YouTube age today and maybe not when you started?
I just would say, like, don't establish like a level you have to be at, or like think that you're only a legitimate creator because you have so many followers or something. YouTube does this thing where they really like to hang the analytics in front of your face a lot. Like, you go on your dashboard, it's like, your last video did 29,000% less than this video because this video, and it's like, the analytics just kind of get a little crazy and you don't want to like get too into that. So, I mean, do it if you enjoy it and it starts to work out and you start to grow an audience from it, and find the happiness in that and find it as like an outlet to, you know, be creative and you know, communicate if that is something that you need, or if it is just fun for you, if you feel like you want to make videos because you want to make videos, and go ahead and do that. But I think don't set like a standard for yourself before you even start, because it's just going to crush you.
I was gonna, because I think a huge thing is like consistency when starting a channel and growing your audience is consistency. Consistency helps, right? But I honestly think you should, like, it's gonna be trial and error to find the pace that works for you, because I feel like you don't have to upload every week. There's gonna be a pace that will work, that will help you grow an audience, but can also prioritize your mental health. And so I feel like, you know, it's just gonna be figuring that out and trying out what works best for you, and, you know, seeing what your limit is. And then obviously, like, I don't know, for all of us, it took us a while to figure out what our boundaries are. And so I think there's gonna be a bit of like a trial and error, but just finding out what your boundaries are is perfect.
I guess I would say focus on the creation, not the distribution. That's it.
Nice. Put that on the mug. Yeah, I think, like, at the end of the day, the priority is just do what you want to do because you love it. Don't feel like you're forced to do something because you're feeling under pressure, or you want to do what other people want to do. Like, if you're a creative person, make what you want to make. Make it when you want to make it, how you want to make it, because if you compromise anything to try and achieve something, you know, lots of YouTubers, they work and they work and they work and they finally make it and they're like, mental breakdown. So it's like, it's up to you, you know, and this is just in life generally, we all choose how hard we work, what we sacrifice to do that, and then at what point you just need to take a break and look after yourself and do what's right for you. So just, I'd say always do something because you love it, and then just always just remind yourself of where you're at and try not to work yourself into a corner.
I would say make sure that is actually something you want to do, because I know that you've all probably seen the poll in the studies that says the #1 job that kids are saying in school is that they want to be a YouTuber. But what I also see a lot of is when they say, well, what do you want to do on YouTube? A lot of kids say, I don't know. So it looks like what a lot of people are looking for right now is actually fame and attention, as opposed to the career that is a YouTuber, which is constant public scrutiny. Sorry, I'm going to do the harsh reality of it. Constant public scrutiny, working 24-hour days, not taking a break, and kind of giving up a lot of other life opportunities to be a YouTuber, because like for me, if I tried to get a real job, I couldn't. I've been technically unemployed for like 7 years. Like I can't get a job. So really ask yourself, is this something I want to do? Do I have something that I actually want to contribute, or is this just me looking for an audience? Because unfortunately, we live in a society in 2019, and it's probably not going anywhere, where we all desperately want to be seen. And we're told that you are quantified, your value as a person, by the number of Instagram likes you get. And that is not true. So if you're only doing it because you think that getting more likes is going to make you more popular at school, if you're doing it because you think that it's going to make you a better person, if you think that your worth is identified by what you're doing on YouTube, I would say don't do it. Do it because you have something you want to create, because you have a message you want to share, and because you believe that you can contribute to the world. Don't do it for fame and money, because it will destroy you.
Until it will destroy you, but
I'm a very intense person.
That's okay, it was the truth.
I mean, on top of what you said, like, the likes on Instagram are not going to make you cooler at school. Like, I was on YouTube actively making videos in high school and throughout parts of middle school, and, like, it did not make me cooler at all. It made me much less cooler. So, if that's anything to take away from it.
It's just sad because in school, I don't think any of us can. Well, you probably can. How old are you, Mikey? Oh, you can too. You and I, we probably don't relate, because in college and high school, we didn't have like social media like that. So you guys are walking down the halls of school, and it's like, oh my God, did you know Elle only has like 20 followers on Instagram? And I can't even imagine that, because everything we did was subjective. So it was like, oh, you're ugly, you're stupid, you're fat, you're whatever. And now it's like, I'm 30,000 more followers better than you. And I just can't even imagine what you kids are going through, and it kills me. But if you're hanging around people that only care about that stuff anyway, get out. It's not worth it. Like, I've been in different situations. I've been on YouTube for years where I'm hanging out with people who have a ton of followers, and now the people I hang out with aren't even on social media, and I feel more loved and fulfilled. And I'm not bashing people on YouTube or social media, but the people who make me feel the most loved, and now that I'm happiest I've ever been, are people who don't care. And you shouldn't be around people that care about that stuff. So just be yourself and try to separate yourself as a performer. I think Bo Burnham said something about that, right? I feel like you would know that, where it says that you're actually performing all the time, and you don't have to perform. Like, you can just be a human.
Just exist. Like, don't tie your self-worth to social media. It's the big thing. And like that, this is just the thing as creators and performers or celebrities. Literally everyone in this room has a Twitter or an Instagram or a YouTube channel or Facebook or something. And just what social media does to us is just, insane, the amount that it affects our mental health. And I'd be quite interested actually to know like what social media platform you think stresses you out the most. Because this is something that
Instagram.
Instagram.
Okay, who here would say Instagram is the thing that when they check it stresses them out the most? Okay. What about Twitter? Anyone?
Twitter, really? I love Twitter.
Really?
Tumblr? Anybody? Oh, the discourse.
Yeah.
Facebook. Anyone? Get out. Just kidding. Thank you. But no, it's so interesting, like, because Instagram has the whole aspect of look at all these beautiful, perfect people with their perfect lives. They're doing such fun things and they look so great. Twitter is everybody being so angry and political. They're so clever. They're so, like, when I go onto Twitter, because of what I do and what I like, I only follow people that are like politicians or comedians, so I go on and it's the world is on fire, also I'm smarter and funnier than you, so it's, you know, that thing is very tiring, and you just have to learn when to...
What about YouTube? Right?
Well,
Does
no.
YouTube scare anyone?
Oh, well, yeah.
People.
Are you guys like, how many of you in this audience are like creators who want to be YouTubers? And how many of you are just, see that's what when you're asking that question, it like gave me chills because I freak out about Instagram and Twitter because it's my job.
Yeah.
I don't know why the fuck you guys are freaking out about Instagram and Twitter. That is upsetting.
It's just that constant comparison, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just having everybody who's, you know, because it's creating this image of perfection. That's why, like, I enjoy the kind of voice of my creativity. Like, my whole comedy is just, here's every flaw that I have, that's the joke, because I think it's so important to, and this is just the conversation about mental health. It's don't pretend everything's perfect all the time. If you talk about your vulnerabilities, people will actually like it because it's so refreshing for someone else to just say, I'm having a bad day, this is stressing me out, this is making me anxious, because the other person will go, oh my god, me too, I thought I was the only one, and it's like, you know, no, we're all in this.
Well, I'm probably the oldest person on this panel. I'm 32. I grew up before social media. Thank you for the 5 6 we both got. There's also the idea that you don't have to share yourself online to prove that you exist. I'm so grateful that there was no social media my entire adolescence. I'm so happy that party invites to friends' houses never had likes and you can never see who was invited and who wasn't. I'm so grateful for that. And so the idea that you don't get to live your life without sharing your life experience is truly toxic. And historically, if you look at art, art reflects the mood, attitude, energy of the society at the time. So if we, as people that are creating the new wave of art in our generation, are having nervous breakdowns from executing it, do not follow those steps. Why do that? If you don't need to value your worth by the numbers. And no matter how many times we drive that home, we as a society are all starting to value our worth by the numbers. And I really hope that bubble bursts. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, last question, and then we'll take questions from the audience. Have you ever been in a situation where a friend was there for you during a time when you were struggling? And what did that feel like? What did they do that really helped you through it?
Can I?
Please.
Because okay, sorry, I talk so much. I'm so narcissistic. I'm a YouTuber. Nice to meet you. But this is important. Listen, guys, everything I say is so important. No, but this was such an important thing. I posted this on Instagram too because, like I said, I was in a really, really dark place. We all get it. YouTubers go to dark places. But I still, at 28 years old, or 27 years old, how old am I? How old are you?
28.
Okay, I'm 28. Okay, I knew that.
We did it.
That's not weird. No, my friend Taylor, who is my best friend in the world, and she's always there for me, but this is a good example of, it's really lovely to ask people all the time, are you okay? How are you feeling? And don't rely on that, because my best friend in the world didn't think to ever ask me that, and I finally said something to her, I think sometime last year, where I said, I think I want to go to like a retreat or something, and she was like, oh, I'll come, and I said, no, I think I need to like be watched, like I don't feel safe like being alone. And because I said that to her, she was like, oh, you're not okay. And then from that moment, like, she's always a great friend, but it was sort of like she would cancel plans, not knowing that it was affecting me so deeply. Because to her, it was just like, oh, I forgot, I'm playing, whatever. And then I'd be like, fuck, nobody cares about me, because that's how I was feeling at the time. So because I opened up to her and was like super vulnerable and really let her know how deep it had gotten, she was like, you're sleeping over tonight. And then I wake up to text and she's just like, what are you doing? We're getting coffee. And she was there for me, like stuck, like glued to my side. And that is what pulled me out of my hole, is the moment that I finally said, I'm really not fucking okay. And now I'm surrounded with her and like my best friend Irene, who is like always there for me. And you just have to find those people who genuinely care about you, who you feel okay enough to say, I don't feel okay right now, and then ask them in return, because then everybody's in a safe zone and you are never alone. And I know it might feel like you're alone right now because high school sucks and people aren't the best, but again, just keep holding on to that tomorrow, because it always turns around.
I love that quote that
sorry, just you saying that reminded me. One of my favorite quotes is, "Tomorrow could be the someday you've been waiting for." I love it.
For me, when I was going through that whole like mental breakdown thing, burnout last year, it was very like YouTube related, and it's something that my hometown friends and family friends back home didn't understand. And so it was not that they were looking down on me. It was more like they didn't know how to help. And so I had my friend Jody. She like reached out. Right after I posted that whole mental breakdown thing, she reached out because I was like, my mom was like on me, like me, following me around. Understandably, she was so worried, but like always on the verge of tears. I just couldn't be around people who were pitying me. And so I flew out to London for a week as like a little retreat and hung out with her and her friends, and they're all also in the entertainment industry, and having people who understand and like are able to empathize rather than sympathize. Is that the right words? Yes, okay, good. It was really nice, and kind of stuck out. She like stuck with me the whole month, and that was like honestly the best thing that happened. Yeah.
I think it's really important. I think it's just really important. I mean, as Gabbie said and as Elle said, it's like I think you need to know yourself really well, and if you can start to kind of like look at different scenarios and really just take a step back for a second and like be like, okay, like how am I really feeling? Like have I just kind of been like going through life on autopilot? Like look at life and be like, how has it been going for me, so that you can kind of take a moment to realize for yourself how you're doing, because you can't really always rely on someone to ask you. And if you are someone who does like to ask, then it is great. It is great. It's a great thing to do, and all of my friends in my friend group are always checking on each other. But it really took for my friends to really like kick in and really start doing as much as they could for me to just tell them, like, guys, I have not been okay. Like, it has not been okay this last year. This has been a bad year. And that's when you kind of like start to find that support. But I think it's important to not rely on that, to just start to understand yourself, be nicer to yourself, and then take notes and be like, okay, whoa, like, this is how it feels when I'm not doing okay, and I should probably, tell someone about this, because it is important to make sure you tell someone.
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Yes.
There are great tools and tips and tricks if you're someone that doesn't know how to even start that conversation to communicate. Something that I found so helpful is that you can tell people how to ask you questions. So if someone says to me, how are you feeling? I'm like, fine.
Fine.
Yeah. But if someone says, what are you thinking about? I'm like, I'm thinking, and I can answer it. But
Are you ready? Here we go. Thank you.
yeah. And other people are different. It's like, so what are you thinking about? Some people are like, nothing really. How are you feeling? Terrible! But like, it just depends. These words, they all have meanings, and those meanings apply different things to different people. And so once you know what opens up your door of communication, you can take that piece of information and give it to someone that you love and say, hey, this is what I need you to ask to check in with me. Because I won't know how to tell you how I'm feeling, but I can tell you what I'm thinking about.
My friends like to use, how's your heart today? And then that's a good indicator.
Surrounded by cholesterol.
How's the boy?
Gaping. I also want to say as well, this being like an internet festival thing that we're at today,
Festival.
if you're an online friend of someone too, that's just as valid and you can be just as helpful, because sometimes people oh, I don't know anyone at my school, I can't talk to people in this certain environment, if you're oh, there's no one at my church I could talk to about this, there's so many environments where real life might not provide you the kind of communication you need from people. I had a friend that I spoke to on Messenger when I was a teenager, and she was this is when we were all emos, so everyone was we're all totally bisexual, woo! And it was a good time. But literally just having this one girl to talk to, I was I'm literally not alone in the universe, just having that person. And we don't speak anymore, we drifted after a year or whatever. But it's just that thing where at the time, I couldn't understate the impact or just how important it was to me. None of you, not to put pressure on you, but all the people that you're in group chats with, people who came here today, there's people in the K-pop DM things that you're on. It's You might be someone's no pressure, not lifeline, but just that thing that makes them feel less alone, that they have someone to talk to, that they can share their feelings. So like me and this one girl, we were like, I just added her on MySpace, we didn't even know each other or live in the same country, but it's that little bit of human contact, a little bit of empathy, someone just talking to you that can make you feel like you're not alone in a dark place. So, always feel like every time you talk to someone, you are being there for someone.
I think it's important too to like learn how to ask your friends if they're okay. I feel like the opposite side of things, really just to like my girlfriend, like I had to ask her multiple times what's going on, what are you thinking about, because she needs to be asked a couple times before she's really gonna get into it. But like each person has like a different way that they're gonna be willing to communicate. And I think just on the opposite side of like telling someone how to ask you questions, it could be as easy as like, how do I like check on you? Like, what's like the right way to say it to you? Just like so you know. But just make sure that like both sides of communication are okay.
Straight up, those conversations are easier to have when you're not in the moment. Literally, on the drive down, me and my fiance, we're driving down, and I get really like in my head before this stuff, and I'm just like silent driving to Anaheim. And she's like, you seem tense. And for me, someone declaring how I feel shuts me off. No way I'm gonna talk about that. When I'm out of that moment, then I can be like, hey babe, I think telling me I'm tense is not helpful for me. I don't know how to communicate, blah, 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 blah. If I'm in the moment, I can't be like, that wasn't helpful. It's not gonna come out like that.
Like sometimes people aren't ready to talk and you just have to come back to them. Like you can't get offended if you say like, how are you? And they go, I don't want to talk right now. Fine then. Sometimes it's like we all get in a bad mood, and like being a good friend is sometimes accepting that someone could be angry, someone could be sad, someone could act like they're not ready to be helped. But as long as you're still there for them when they're ready, I think that's important.
And that was what meant so much to me, because she said, she was like, I want to be there for you when you feel like this. And then I get to say, I don't know how to let you there. I don't know what to do. I'm barely learning how to take care of it myself, But that's communication, which is the goal.
Yeah, that's amazing. Check in on your friends, I think is what we're all saying too. And like, you could do it online, you could do it in person, via text. If you are looking for tips, like Hannah was saying, check out seizetheawkward.org or look up Seize the Awkward on Instagram. We have a question from the audience. Danny asks, how do I improve my self-confidence?
Asking the wrong group.
A bunch of people who are like professionally awkward.
We're professionally, yeah.
I paid someone to paint my face today so that I could feel comfortable being on stage.
The biggest thing for me, what helped me a lot, because I am someone who is just terrible self-confidence, right? Especially when you're putting your face on YouTube every week. Sometimes the biggest reason I don't want to film is because I'm like, damn, I'm ugly this week. Like, I just don't want to film. It's real. I would just say, one, stop comparing yourself to everyone. Two, I think just kind of accept the fact that you're you, and you're a wonderful, beautiful person that looks nothing like anyone else. It's special, and you don't want to change that or hate that. It's just being so mean to yourself. You're selfish. You're trying your best. And I think just be easy on yourself, and I think it'll start to come more naturally. You'll start to find it's not the biggest deal in the world. I think you can start to feel, if you just feel better about yourself, it all kind of comes in together.
I think that taking care of yourself is really important too, because for me, when I started feeling really confident and feeling sexy and cool and just comfortable was when I started working out all the time, and I realized it wasn't coming from the fact that my body was changing, because realistically my body didn't change that much, but just feeling so strong and fit and taking that time out of every day where I was literally only focusing on me. When I'm at the gym, there's nothing else I'm worrying about except for bettering myself in that time. So take care of yourself, take a break, watch TV if you need to, take a bath. Self-care is actually so important, and it's not about a physical thing, it's about how you feel. My roles are all over my Instagram now, baby.
I think it's exactly what you were saying as well, that it's so much about just accepting who you are. Because for me, I was a silent, awkward teenager in so many situations, and I've become more confident, and a lot of that has just been to do with me letting go of all of these pressures that I felt from other people to be this thing and to act in this certain way that I wasn't. So I realized that so many of these negative feelings that I carried with me when I was younger were things that weren't actually a part of who I was in my life. There were these expectations that I was getting from social media and the world and people at school, and it's as I got older and went, that's not me. I'm never going to be that person that does this. I am this person. And then you go, hey, actually, I'm okay with the person that I am. I don't need to apologize. I don't need to change for these things. So when you love yourself, you'll get confident.
Yes. Yes. What do you think about confidence? Confidence, I always used to say confidence is a lie. But I think what I really mean by that is if you can figure out what it takes for you to feel confident, whether or not it's like deadlifting, feeling like, oh, I'm so fucking strong. Or for like me, it's like last night, I was like, everyone's hanging out, and I was like, I'm actually gonna go iron my shirt. Because that'll make me feel really good tomorrow. You looking at my shirt? It's right there now. But, you know, as more self-knowledge you get, then the next hurdle is allowing yourself to take care of it. You know?
Drink water.
Drink water!
I feel like there's still so much more that we could talk about, but we're going to get in trouble if we probably stay here any longer. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you.